G'day there folks, I'm Beanie, you're watching Beanie Draws, and in this video we're going to colour in this Thanosaurus. If you want to learn how to draw it for yourself, click on the annotation up above. But if you don't want to learn how to draw it, but you still want to colour along, I'll be putting a link down below so you can print out the line art and you can colour along with me. And also hit the subscribe button while you're at it so you don't miss it on my future videos. But anyway, enough chitter chatter, let's get to and start colouring. As you can probably guess, we're going to be using a lot of purples and maybe a bit of blue every now and then. And I'm using classic colour Faber-Castell because they're one of my favourite colours to use. They don't leave much of a waxy residue like Derwent's do. So let's get to it. I think I might go with this purple for now. I'm going to go over it lightly to begin with, and then I can build up afterwards. Because this isn't digital, we don't have the luxury of erasing colour as easily. So I'm trying to avoid mistakes. And if you're not used to colouring, it's always a good idea to go in one direction. I mean, you can, if you go very lightly, you can go like this way, but I just go with the natural motion of my wrist, which means that all the strokes should be within one direction. And that also means that you'll have a nice even spread of colouring. And if you do it lightly, that way you don't have to, press too hard. And you can sort of adapt your pressuring more here and there. And the other reason why it's good to go with a light coating of lead is because when you get to areas like that, the blending them back together isn't so much of a problem. I noticed in the past when I used to colour in too hard, like, that's a little bit harder than I would like right now, but if you went in hard to begin with, you'd have harder edges between the connecting spots, so that's not so good to go with. I also find that when you lay your lead at an angle, not like this, but like this, it means that rather than having a blunt, like when you colour in like that, you gradually get a blunter tip. But as you can see here, it's flat, but you still have a sharp tip as well. And I also find sometimes having a rotational stroke is a good way to go about colouring as well, especially in the smaller areas. To be honest, I probably should have given Thanosaurus the Thanos looking suit, but probably not that big of a deal really. Let me know in the comments below if you would rather see a Thanosaurus wearing the Thanos suit, because I am planning on doing another one with the helmet as well, because I thought that'd be kind of cool. Okay, we've got a steady layer down. Now I'm going to try and darken up some of the areas. And you only really want to go like for around here to make it look more lumpy. You don't want to colour in the whole thing, you just want to colour in darker at the actual black lined areas and then gradually fade it out towards the middle, and that way you get a nice little sort of a lumpy look. I will make it a bit darker out there. So as you can continuously see, I'm adding little bits of layer over and over and over. And I'm making the top of the head a bit darker. And I like to make the edges a little bit darker, and it gives a bit more of a rounded vibe. Or a cylindrical vibe. Sometimes you do have to resharpen. Shadow under the belly. Darker underneath the fingers. And dark around there where there's shadows. Dark at the edge and lighter in the middle. That is the way of the cylindrical curved rendering. Unless you get to creases. When you get to creases, that is when it's good to make it darker. Darker there, lighter there, because that's a edge that will be getting hit by light, so you don't colour in there, you just colour in sort of out there. and then darker at the bottom. Always think about where your light source is coming from. I generally just go with a nice easy above, which is all well and good to say considering I just made it dark up there, but you know, sometimes you just go with whatever. Trying to keep in mind the cheek area and have the cheek have more shine on it. Okay, we've got most of that purple done. Now I want to add it in a little bit of a different flavor of purple. And I'm not going to go all the way up there, I'm just going to shade in and see with a slightly different purple or even a slightly different color that's still in the same realm of your color, whatever color that you end up using. You can add a little bit more of a gradient, add a little bit more of a depth, and add some flare. And you're always adapting your pressure. The lighter the pressure, the less lead you push down. The harder the pressure, the darker the lead will be. Might make it a bit darker there. Add another bit of a wash, even if this isn't paint. But I guess it would apply the same way if you were coloring this with paint. Just add a little bit of a wash. Might put a little bit more depth in there. Might bring out some more of the purples there. And I might go over it with this purple, so it's a little less pink. Let's give these bits a little bit of shadow. I found myself my black pencil. Just gonna give it some subtle shading in some of the areas, but not too much. Just a little bit. The more layers of lead that you put down, the natural it is going to get a little bit waxier. So you just have to be very careful not to put too much pressure on, but enough so it actually shows up. It can get a bit complicated and it can get a bit tricky sometimes. You can probably can't even see much difference from when I put the black on, and that is the point. You don't want to overdose it with blackness. You don't want to overdose it with shadows and shading. Just enough. We can, however, go into the claws now. Leave the top part mostly uncolored, so leave some paper behind for the shine. You get some cool claws. Then we're going to go through and give the gauntlet a bit of colour. So I might go over the whole lot with a bit of yellow. Yellow is one of those colours where it doesn't really show up that much anyway. I'm going to colour in this Infinity Stone orange. Probably not the actual colour of the actual Infinity Stone. Things like green or something. So while this Infinity Stone may be green normally, because we are making a satirical cute T-Rex in the form of Thanos, we're going to make it a little bit different. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time. So if I get any comments below saying that's not how the Infinity Stone colors look, then those who have actually watched the video to this point can point out to those people that if they had have watched this video properly, that was the whole point. I wasn't going for the proper colors necessarily. I might see if I can go over that in a little bit of no, that's not too bad actually. And just to really annoy the Marvel fans, I'm putting the green in the wrong spot as well. Now it seems like that in some artworks that's yellow, so I guess maybe it's not that big of a deal. Put a bit of blue there. And the fun thing about these 4 pens is they come with a green, a blue, and a red. Just for the fun, go with a little bit of red, just for the shadows. In that Infinity Stone, might give a little bit of red, just for a very subtle bit of touch up in the gauntlet, just for a little bit of highlight. Then a little bit of green, just for a little bit of shadow and darkness in that stone, and a little bit of blue in that one. Kind of wondering what color I should do for the teeth. Probably just do a little bit of yellow for the teeth. Teeth are one of those weird things where, you know, the colors are depending on how well you look after your teeth. It is the color that those teeth will inevitably be. I'm gonna put in a little bit of shadow there. Put a little bit of shadow there, just to highlight the overlap of the teeth. So I put it darker up there and lighter down there, so the shadow of the upper row of teeth casts a subtle little shadow on the lower teeth. So those little tiny bits of detail. And then also put a little bit, not too much, just a little bit of shadow from the gum onto the teeth. And we'll make, what color is Thanos' eyes? Apparently Thanos' eyes are blue, but because this is Rexy, I'm going to go with the yellow. I suppose I could put a little subtle bit of blue in there. We'll see if the blue turns her eyes into green. Just a little bit, but hey, it's not the end of the world. So I think that looks pretty damn good. In the words of Draw with Jazza, I really like the way this turned out. And if you really like the way this turned out, why don't you give this a big old thumbs up? If you end up drawing this yourself, shoot it over to Bean Arts on Instagram or email me at beaniedraws@hotmail.com. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that bell notification when you do so you don't miss my future videos. I've got 2 other videos here that are very related to this one, which you might enjoy as well. Otherwise, thanks for watching this video and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheerio for now.